All right, you guys, welcome to another episode of the Think Bigger podcast. It's been a while since I've done a video version of it. For everyone listening right now, it's usually, of course, on your standard podcast platforms, but this is important and special because T, who I'll have her introduce herself in just a moment, is a personal friend of mine, not just a friend of a friend or an acquaintance. And so spending time with her and Brian here at Honors in person is always a good time. But for this podcast and the life story and what we're going to talk about today, it's so much more amazing to be in person with you. So thank you for having me and, of course, everyone listening to share, this part of your life, this chapter that you're going through. So to give context to that, T is going through some personal health and medical scenarios right now. And for everyone who knows how this podcast goes, it's far more important to talk about these things than just the usual type of thing. So I'm going to just kind of let T explain. We'll go backwards to how we met and the life of Honors and cars and all these types of things. But for people who are like, what is he talking about? Right? The people who don't follow us on Instagram, who have no idea, they're just listening right now. What is it that you're, going to do tomorrow morning? What have you, please share that.
Well, first, thank you, Mike, for making the time. I appreciate you very much. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I appreciate you guys for your time as well. But yeah, so basically tomorrow I'm going to be having the biggest surgery that I've ever had in my life. And it's essentially a bilateral mastectomy or a double mastectomy where they're going to be removing both of my breasts. And that's because of breast cancer. And I was diagnosed stage 2 about, I want to say 6 months ago. 6 months ago.
Wow, it's already been 6 months.
6 months ago. And so a part of my treatment requires the surgery. So I did chemotherapy first for about 4 months.
Yes.
And I recently had some scans done, the MRI and an ultrasound.
Yes.
And so those scans came out really good. So basically it essentially stopped the growth.
Okay.
And if anything, it actually made it kind of shrink. So
okay.
The doctors gave me the green light for the surgery. So that's basically the next step.
Okay, so as you guys can see, it's a very serious scenario, and T has such a light-hearted kind of demeanor about it, but it's very serious. And I mean, I know there's a part of you that has always kind of kept that smile on your face, but like when we were texting and talking recently, and today, you're saying that there is that bit of anxiety that's starting to build up. Because have you had surgeries before?
I have.
But they're just what, smaller ones or whatnot?
Yeah, broke my ankle riding.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of big.
Yeah, that sounds big. Oh yeah, I remember that.
And then I also broke. I had a boxer's break where I broke this right here on my hand.
Is that something we need to talk about? Who did you snuff?
Well, I actually hit a wall.
Okay.
And when I was upset, and it's one of those things where it's kind of like a 50-50 chance. If you're going to hit the wall, it's a 50-50 chance if you're going to hit a stud.
Oh, and you hit the stud. And
yeah.
So it fractured, the boxer's fracture. I know the one you're talking about. So, I mean, but there are many people who have broken an arm, an ankle, a leg, falling, cars, whatever. But that's one type of scenario. That's one type of health scenario. And then you have this, right?
Right.
So, for everyone listening, everyone has a mother, a sister, a wife, whatever, right? This is something that is becoming more and more common, cancer in general. But, it's one of those things where, for me, I'm on my Instagram, and I only have one form of social media, and I'm not on it quite as much as I think people maybe sort of think I am. And, the algorithm is always changing things, and you don't even get stuff in the order, like timeline. This will say 3 days ago, another one will say 3 weeks ago. So, it's kind of weird like that. And then I look at it and I see this post on the Honors OC Instagram, and I'm reading it and I'm like, wait, what? You know, that you're looking at car stuff and miscellaneous whatever, and all of a sudden it's just like, wait, T has what? You know? And so I don't know, when I called you, how like late was I in reading that and contacting you? Like how many days had passed since you had announced it?
About a week. About a
I didn't
week.
know it was that long. Okay.
But yeah, it's all good. I appreciate you reaching out.
Oh yeah.
Picking up the phone to call me.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, just we had to share it because of the fact that I kind of feel we really like to engage with our community.
Yeah.
We're really deep in the car community and deep in the Minimoto community as well. And so once I found out, I was diagnosed with the breast cancer, I knew 100% that we were going to be scaling back, going out,
sure,
just going out to events, popping up.
So it was inevitable that people would notice something, right? So
Yes.
You're like, let's make a formal announcement.
Yeah,
I get it. Okay, so I remember the caption was very well written. Remember that?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is a serious subject. But on a side note, for someone who cares about, I'm a journalist. I care about the way things are worded. I was like, this was quite eloquent. This is classy. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure T wrote this, And I was just joking, and I was like, Brian, did you write that, or did T write that? And then she ended up telling me that she wrote it. But it's cool because, the support. Obviously, you guys have such good energy, the shop, the community, but you never really kind of have any idea of knowing the way people feel, because people don't. We were just talking about that before we turned everything on. I don't know, like how you guys are with your social circles and friends and family and stuff, but I found over the time that as I talk to more and more people from 16 to 46, there is a massive amount of people that don't really feel like they have a person or a place to open up about certain things, right? And of course, pride, maybe if it's a guy, I don't want to be sentimental. And there's all these cultural things and upbringings and reasons why, let's say, men might not want to be open with their emotions, right? Okay, fair enough. But then if you do, and you don't have anyone to share it with, that can be very painful and difficult to deal with. But even now, as I talk to people, they don't really have. Well, many people are expressing that they don't really feel they have any person or persons to open up to. But with you, the outpouring of support was ridiculous, right? And I mean, did you kind of feel like, I knew all these people that are here now? For example, they just recently had a mini moto show here at Honors. It was huge. People came from all over the place. And I don't think it's conceited or overconfident to say yes if the answer is yes, right? But did you kind of know that these people were going to support you in such like a literal, tangible way?
No. I mean, I know that the community that we're a part of is big, and we contribute, a lot to it.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess, when you think about it, you would hope that your core people are going to support you. But the outpouring of support was crazy. It was overwhelming, and
that's a beautiful thing.
It made me really emotional.
Mm-hmm.
But that uplifted me and kind of gave me wings in a way to kind of just like get through this, because finding out and just being in that mental space, it was really difficult, because naturally I kind of feel like once you find something like, being diagnosed with cancer, you want to be like a hermit crab and, crawl into a shell and, just say F the world and,
right.
but I knew, I'm pretty close to my family. I have really good friends. I have, Brian's my huge support. Uh, I couldn't do that, or I did do that for a little bit,
Sure, sure.
but I kind of woke up, and once I saw all the outpouring of love and support, it really kind of turned the light on and made me click and made me realize, like, hey, you gotta like switch your thinking. You really have
Mm.
to, somehow get motivated and just face it head on,
Mm-hmm.
and don't be afraid. And also realizing that, like, I'm not the only one. I'm not the first. There's so many people out there that are going through the same thing as me. Some who have battles that are even more intense.
Sure.
But I mean, just having that made me realize that I needed to kind of like get out of that hole,
Mm.
and just face it head on.
I think it was that change that you did in inside of yourself, and that I started picking up on, and that's when I reached out to you, and I was like, hey, which we ended up calling it the hair party.
Yeah.
Right. So okay. So for those of you that follow me on Instagram and or honors, you guys already know what I'm talking about. So I did a reel. I asked T, hey, has the chemo started making you lose your hair? And I wanted to try to objectively, I realized that that's one of the worst things, especially for a woman, is how chemo is going to make your hair start to fall out. And, it doesn't fall out like this, and she just would look like me. It starts to thin and just go everywhere, and you'd find it just, you'd brush your hand through your hair. It's very disconcerting, I'm sure, right? Um, and so I was like, you know what? Let's see if I can kind of turn it into something a little bit more lighthearted, and I could see that you were already like embracing the situation and being like the positive person that you are. And so, you guys saw it on our Instagrams, because we, linked the honors and my account for that reel. But it was like we did it right here, and we just said, hey, I said, T, are you down, like, to just let's own the scenario, right? You want to just own it, and let's call it, let's have a hair party. And it ended up just being us. It was just literally Brian, myself, and her. And I was thinking, oh, let's have like a party while we cut her hair off. But it just ended up being us, and it was nice. It was intimate. It's fun. And you had all the videos on my phone. You're laughing, having a good time. But even then, with all the upbeat energy you were giving, I mean, I'm sure it was, underneath that, you were just not, letting it out per se. And then we took some cute pictures, and underneath her beanie is,
Yeah, you can see
you
it.
guys
Yeah,
see?
it's still the same.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really like maybe just a tad, but
Well, because when was your last chemo session?
it's been about a month now.
So some of it's starting to come back. I mean, I haven't shaved in a couple of days, so we like low key got the same look right now. But so yeah, she had long flowing hair, and we right here we just did it, and T allowed me to, that's when I had this idea that there are people, even if it isn't this exact medical scenario, or it could be something really close, or it could just be something that's not even remotely the same, but knowing that there are other people, right, who are experiencing things that are very unsettling and life changing, right? It helps, and I've realized that, if there's someone like yourself who is comfortable and open to sharing, then we have to share it, and it's gonna there's gonna be somebody somewhere who's gonna be affected in a really great way. And so, once again, thank you for allowing me, not just in the shop space and and the obvious, but inside of this chapter, and allowing me to share it with everyone, because I think people are having a hard time dealing with their emotions in any type of situation. So perspective is very important. And you were just saying how you saw this support system that was so positive and upbeat that you were like, okay, let me snap out of this, so to speak. And you're now, whether you realize it or not, you are being that for someone who's listening or watching. Because some people, I found they don't really have any friends. And that's becoming a thing, there's a lot of people who feel like they don't fit in anywhere, or they have circles of friends, but they don't feel maybe extra close. So right here, this situation provides us the ability to, through a podcast format, reach people. And the messages I get, the messages I got from our reel alone, people were just like, dude, she's amazing. And I wouldn't be able to handle it like that. So just off the realty, I didn't show them to you because you've been dealing with, she's been working every day. Okay. And then leading up to this. So, I didn't really know when I could show them to you and get you kind of all emotional, but the messages just off IG, right? Much less, whoever this may reach. So, um, I'm always talking about not taking life for granted and time for granted. And then you have something like this that just is like, it takes that and says, yeah, yeah, definitely not, right? Because we all stay grateful, but then something like this happens and it's just like, it's grabbing you by the shoulders, and it's like, you can't ever look at life the same, right? So in the midst of what's happening, like, what is the one thing, if there is one thing that you kind of feel like it put into perspective for you when you were just like, I am being told I have this life altering cancer? What have you thus far been like, okay, whoa, 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 I now see X, Y, and Z differently?
It's just, it all comes down to your choices.
Mm.
And the decisions you make as far as what you want to do with your life. Like for me, I kind of feel like you have to keep dreaming. Whatever it is that you want in this life, you got to keep going after it. And you can't let something like this hold you back. Keep going after it no matter what.
No matter what.
No matter what, and share that with people. And, there's going to be people out there that are going to help you no matter what, because they want to see you achieve your dream too. But yeah, it really comes down to the choices. Like, with the cancer, now I have, like daily choices that I have to make as far as like what I'm eating. That way, hopefully it reduces the chances of it ever coming back.
Yeah.
But also like just spending more time with my family, more quality time with my family.
Sure.
Yeah, it just also like for me, like just doing positive things or doing stuff that's going to help uplift me, continue to uplift me. Because, every day that I go through this, sometimes I don't have a good day. I try to say I have good days and better days,
Mm-hmm.
But it all comes down to the choices that I make. And recently, I told Brian, I was like, you know what? I really want to go to Disneyland. It would make me really happy if we can go to Disneyland, just so that way I have a day where I can just forget about this and just go have some fun.
Sure.
And
you guys went.
And we went, and it was like the best time of my life. A really good friend of mine got us tickets, so we didn't even have to pay for tickets. Nice. And I was so genuinely happy that I started crying. Like it was like the most awesome time. So making that choice to like say, hey, you know what, let's just go, and that way we can have some fun. That was really important. So just, making time to have fun, and don't get stuck in the, work. And
yeah, well, and that's also what I've been telling you, because I've been like, girl, like, why are you working up until the night before? So I don't even know if we mentioned it, but you guys, when you see this, when you listen to this on a podcast platform or watch it on my YouTube channel, she will have already have had the surgery. Tonight, right now, is the night before. She's gonna go check in. She is allowing us to be here with her literally tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow morning.
What time are you gonna go?
9 a.m. is my check-in.
9 a.m. is your check-in.
Thank you.
To go to check in, and they'll begin the process of getting her ready to have a double mastectomy. And I mean, to any of the women watching, I'm sure they're going to be the only ones who are going to really be able to have that perspective, because for us, men, we wouldn't be able to understand what it's like to have that part of you removed. But it is to prevent the likelihood, because the cancer is in your mammary tissue. By removing mammary tissue in its entirety, it helps to eliminate the likelihood of it coming back. So, okay, so let's talk for a little bit about what was going on when you started to have this feeling, whether conceptually or literally pain wise, because especially with guys are the type where you could feel some pain and you're like, yeah, I don't, that's not good. And then you just don't do anything about it. And a lot of times, something was way more likely to be assessed and addressed early, but it's mostly men that end up, especially in cancer, it's mostly men who end up getting themselves in a bad situation because they go when they've allowed it to grow. They didn't know, of course, but if you feel something, for all jokes aside, if anyone listening or watching, whatever age you are, whatever gender you are, if you feel something that you know is not right or wasn't there before and it just doesn't sit well with you, it isn't like you rolled your ankle, and we all kind of know what that feels like. If you feel something that gives you a tiny alarm bell or is just off, do something about it. For the men especially, put your pride aside. I don't care if you don't like hospitals. I get it. Trust me. Just go. Just go. And the worst thing that can happen is you find out. And you found out early and they can do something about it. Or you go and guess what? There's nothing. And you're just like, okay, call yourself paranoid all you want. But you had it checked and there's nothing there. Okay, so what was going on in your life? What were you doing when you're just like, hold on, something's not right?
Well, I would start to get these pains in my chest, and they were like really sharp, like stabbing pains. And at first, when I first felt it, I was like, okay, well, that's kind of weird. Like I've never felt that before. But I brushed it off.
Okay.
I did brush it off.
But it registered as something different.
Yes.
All right. I don't know what that is. I don't like it, but you did brush it off.
Yes.
Okay.
I did brush it off. And then it would come back. So maybe about a week it had passed, and then it came back, but then it was like more intense. It was a little bit more stronger. So then I thought to myself, okay, well, that's not, I'm not supposed to be feeling that. That doesn't feel right. But still, I brushed it off a little bit. But then I was like, you know what? Maybe I should go get it checked out.
Okay.
But I was kind of, life, happens, and things and events and all that stuff. So I brushed it off a little bit. And then it happened again. The sharp pain came back, and it was more intense again. And it was it was a longer, intense pain.
Okay.
So that's when I was like, okay, there's seriously something wrong. And it basically, it was, the sharp pain was coming from where my tumor is.
Okay. Where you now know the tumor
where I now
is.
know, where my tumor is. And so I actually did a self-exam, and that's when I found the lump. And I found a lump, and I was like, okay, I know for a fact that wasn't there before, because I've done self-exams in the past. And I told Brian, and he was like, you got to go get that checked out right away. I don't care. You need me to make the appointment for you.
Sure.
Kind of thing. So I went to go see the doctor, and then, my primary care doctor. So he was like, you got to go get further checked out. So
have a mammogram?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he referred me to go get a mammogram. So I did all the tests, the mammogram, and then the ultrasound. And then based on the ultrasound, that's the ultrasound tech was like, there's something that that we may have to look in a little bit
right. They
further.
have to keep it kind of vague.
Yeah.
Right. But the way they worded it, you were like, oh, I understand what you're kind of saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
and when she said that, I was like, oh, okay, there's a chance this could be, going in a different direction than what I've been hoping.
Yes.
And she even said, oh, give me a couple of minutes. I got to go talk to the doctor.
Okay.
And when she did that and she left the room, I was like, okay, well, maybe I do have cancer, and, I gotta figure out what to do next.
Okay. So you were putting pieces together, kind of just realizing the way she was saying it, where she's like, oh, I'll be right back. Yeah, fair enough, right? Any one of us would be like, why do you have to be right back?
Yes.
Okay. And so you already were just like, okay, hold on. Maybe I have something serious, such as cancer. And the world started spinning.
Yes.
Okay. So there's a thing that I want to touch on, you guys, and it's really important because there are a lot of us who don't have our health insurance set up. Then for those people who have it, because maybe your job or career, it just kind of is there and you do it. But I know a lot of people who have health insurance and they've never even used it. Okay, that is a problem because, a lot of us weren't taught really how to go about any of that, whether by our parents or by the system or whatever. But you guys, you know how you said, okay, there's this thing, and I went to go see my primary care physician. Your PCP is what we call it. And then you had the PCP, you told them what's going on. They said, okay, you need to immediately have these tests done. They make the appointment, okay, gets the test done. All of that could only happen because you had the health insurance system. You knew how to utilize it, and you had a PCP. So if you don't have one, how can you call them? How can you make an appointment if you don't have a primary care doctor? You don't have to have one, but when the time comes, it's a thing that you need to do, guys. So anyone watching this, I know I've talked to so many people, 20s, 30s, 40s, and they're just like, yeah, I know I'm getting older, and oh, my back hurts, my knees click, and I'm like, what about the people who it isn't just a joint? It's something more, and all of a sudden you get panicky because you don't know what to do. What number do I call? Where do I go? So, you guys, it shouldn't have to be a car accident and they're like looking through your wallet while you're knocked out, trying to figure out if you have insurance and where to take you. We are adults, and we need to be proactive about our lives. And in that one sense, you were. And so you had a PCP to call, and you went through the process. And imagine if you didn't know what to do. You're like Googling, what do I do if my chest hurts? Like, there are people who do that.
Yes.
They don't know what to do because they've never looked into it. You guys, don't wait. This scenario, her story, let it be the catalyst for you to do something for yourself, even if it's years before you ever end up having to use it. But have it in place because it's important, and it shouldn't be something so crazy. You shouldn't have to worry about that part if something requires it, So I wanted to say that because for those that don't know, my other career is in healthcare, and there are people who don't have anything lined up. They have to be told the most elementary of things of what anything means when they get told something about their bone, their organ. They're just like, I don't even know what any of those words are. And you're like, bruh, like, how do you like, you don't have to know all these terms, but how do you not know what half of this is, or what to do, or should you sign that or should you not? So you guys, it's important to familiarize yourself. So anyway, okay, so they leave, say, I need to go talk to the doctor real quick. Okay. And then the world started spinning for you. And then what happened next?
So after that, they put in the request for the biopsy. So I had to go get a biopsy done. And that's essentially where they take a piece of whatever, that they suspect.
Yes.
It could be cancerous. And then when I had the biopsy, the doctor who was doing it, he was kind of like comforting me because I kind of feel he already knew.
Okay, yeah.
Because like they do it all the time, so they kind of know.
His demeanor or what he was saying to you was very like comforting,
right?
And you're like, why are you comforting me when I'm just having a biopsy? Right.
Right. What he told me was, if you have any vacation plans, make sure you take them. Don't let what could be prevent you from enjoying your life. And, just it's important to do those things. And I was like, what the hell is going on? So it was kind of like a red flag. And it started making me cry when he said that, because, it was kind of like, oh, he knows.
Mm-hmm.
He knows. And I just haven't received the official news yet.
Sure.
So I think it was about a week after that, that's when I got the call that my primary care doctor had to give me, to basically tell me that I had cancer.
So did they tell you over the phone?
They gave me the option if I wanted to see them in person or over the phone. I just told them
So what did they say? Like, hey, it would be good of you to come in as soon as possible to talk to us, type of thing?
It was more like, do you want to discuss your test results over the phone or in person?
Right. And if it's nothing, why are they going to even say that to you? And so you're just like, just tell me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So they told you, and what you had pretty much already kind of deduced was official in that moment. Okay. So had the spinning of your life and your world, had the beginning of that been enough so that in that official moment it didn't like throw you for a loop, or when it became official, it hit you even harder?
It hit me even harder. It hit me
even though you already kind of figured it out. That was it. Okay. And what was your initial reaction?
I was emotional. I was super emotional. I broke down into tears.
Yeah. So not angry.
No.
Type. It was sad type.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there's the people who are like the why me, the anger part, and I get it, right? I get it. So for you, it was more on the sad side.
I was like, I don't want to die.
Sure.
I don't want to die. There's so much that I want to do. I was thinking about my family, my mom, having to tell her. And it was still a big surprise to me, because nobody in my family has breast cancer.
Right.
So that, and I mean,
no history of breast cancer that you know of in your entire family. So you guys, a lot of people don't know, but typically these things have some type of family, predisposition, or some aunt or some grandmother, something like that. But you know of no one, so it's even more of a blind side.
Right.
Wow. So okay, so here we are. To give a timeline, right? For people to have some kind of perspective, how much? Okay, when was the first time that you felt that pain that you were describing, that you were like, what is that? And I don't like it. When was that?
So I would say it was like early part of last year. So probably like February, March, when I started experiencing the sharp pains. And then I think I had put it off all the way up until August.
Okay, so was it a gradual thing, or was it one day you had a pain and it may not have been the worst thing, but it was different and you didn't like it? It was like that?
Yes, exactly.
So one day you have this odd pain, and then you're like, I don't like that, but it went away. How long did it last?
Not very long. I just brushed it off because, like as someone who works hard, you just keep on going.
Yeah.
You just keep moving forward.
But was it like a 2-second pain, or like 10 minutes?
No, it was a really short.
So in the seconds.
Yeah, seconds.
You
guys, 1 or 2 seconds, just like real sharp stabbing pain.
Wow.
And you're like, okay, well, I didn't bump into anything. Why would I be feeling that?
Sure.
So it just didn't make any sense. And then when it started to repeatedly happen, I took a mental note, like, okay, that's still like.
If you can recall from that first one, which was only, like you said, a couple seconds long, to, let's say, the second one, how long in between?
Days, if not like a week.
Okay. So then the second one, was the pain sharper?
Yeah.
And longer?
Yes.
If you can remember, how long?
Not that long.
Just still in the
Yeah,
seconds.
still in the
In the
seconds.
seconds. I mean, just think about that, guys. How many of us have had a pain of some type that's only a few seconds? Nobody's going to stop and be like, I need to change my entire week schedule for that, right? Especially the way we're all having to work and everything. But you knew that it wasn't right. Something wasn't right. So the first one, a few seconds, maybe a week. The second one, sharper, a little bit longer, but still just a few seconds. You put that one aside too, if you remember correctly. And then it was the third one that you were like, okay, hold on.
No, there were like multiple. And then I was just like, I gotta get it checked out.
And they were getting more frequent.
Yeah, they were getting more frequent. They were happening longer. And then I think I remember there was one in particular that it lasted a while, like not a minute, but probably like 5-6 seconds. Like it kind of buckled me a little bit.
Right.
It was just such
5
a
or 6 seconds, a long
sharp
time.
pain.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
That's not good. I knew for a fact that was not good. So that's what led me to do the self-exam, and that's when I found the lump.
Okay. So for all of the the ladies that might be watching or listening, what is different, or how does one deal with that versus you shower 1-2 times a day, and how did that become a thing to let me do an examination? Obviously the pain, right? But like, was it something where you would not or did not feel it until you actually pushed into your breast to feel it? It wasn't on the surface. It wasn't anything like that. You would not have felt it if you didn't consciously do a self breast examination.
Correct. I wouldn't have felt it.
Even with the pain, you wouldn't have felt it.
No.
So you had to actually put pressure in.
Yeah.
And I'm doing this on purpose, guys, because if you have, everyone has a sister, a mom, a girlfriend, a wife. This is, talk to your people, because a lot of times it's more stereotypically men that are stoic and want to hide stuff, but it's not only men, right? Even you're saying in hindsight that you were brushing off the initial thing, right? So that's one of the more dangerous things that you can do. And I only keep saying it towards men because men are probably the most stubborn when it comes to, I can take the pain, like, oh, I got to keep it pushing until maybe something that buckles you. And even then men would be like, shit, yeah, so I got to get back to work, until it debilitates you, right? Or imagine if you were driving when that pain happened.
Right.
And, you can hurt yourself and someone else. So it's important, guys. So, okay, so, wow. So here we are from that point to primary care and ultrasound and mammogram and, hey, do you want to come in, or, and that whole thing. It's about 6 months of your life. February, 8 months?
Yeah.
Wait, you said...
So let's say March.
Okay.
And then I actually went to the doctor in August.
In August?
So about 5 months.
So in 5 months, it goes from, I don't like it, something might be wrong, to, I officially have been diagnosed with cancer and I immediately need to begin chemotherapy. 5 months of your life and everything changes. So you did... If I remember correctly, when you told me initially, they said you're going to have 8 rounds of chemo. Right. But you ended up doing 6.
Correct.
Okay. And why did that change?
Honestly, I don't really...
They changed it though.
Yeah. I think it was just basically the exam that the doctor was doing, the oncologist. Yeah. And then I was responding pretty well to the treatment. So I guess that was it.
And they said, okay, 6 instead of 8. And then we want to do the surgery.
Yes.
Okay. And that leads us up to today. Well, tonight. Tomorrow is the check-in for the surgery. And if you could just be raw and honest about it, how are you doing right now as we're having this conversation? And we're getting closer to the next morning.
I'm doing good. I'm doing well. I was having some anxiety before, but the thing about it is I know I have a really good team of doctors who are going to take care of me. I'm fortunate enough to be having my surgery at Hoag
Okay.
Hospital in Newport Beach, which is like one of the best hospitals in Orange County. So I'm super grateful about that. But also, I have pretty strong faith that God's going to take care of me as well. So I'm feeling pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling pretty good.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. I started looking up like herbs and teas and things, and I was like sending her links, like, drink soursop tea.
Sour sop.
Yeah, because it's, if, for anyone who knows what soursop is, it's just one of those things where I started looking up stuff. In addition to Western medicine, like the chemos and things like that, I started looking up what people would call Eastern or alternative. I mean, as much as she's Asian, you're here, so it's not like, she has like an ancient grandmother who's like sitting on top of a mountain who's got like, eat this leaf and you're gonna just be good. Um, so I was like sending her links and stuff, and I mean, okay, just be honest right now. Don't even be ashamed to tell me. But were you just like, bruh, like I'm not gonna drink this tea, kind
No,
of?
no, I appreciated, reaching out and like giving me, what you found as far as
Yeah,
what's going to help. I appreciate that. Thank you.
yeah, okay. Because yeah, she can just be like, bro, like I got things to do. I'm not about to like eat a leaf of a plant from Asia. But I'm just saying, like, I was just trying to be helpful in whatever way I can. But I mean, you know, once again, this is such a personal situation, and it's in real time. It's this tomorrow morning, and probably after we finish the podcast, we're gonna go eat. Like, what are we gonna go eat? Shabu shabu or ramen or something? I don't know, but what are we gonna eat?
It's all you can eat shabu shabu and Korean barbecue. I'm not gonna eat the Korean barbecue, but the shabu shabu.
Okay, you'll eat the shabu shabu, but you're not gonna eat like 2 pounds of grilled flesh
No, I
before going
can't.
to the hospital.
Yeah, they called me as well to kind of like give me the procedures or what to not do,
Yeah.
before the surgery, and they're like, make sure you eat something light.
Yeah. Okay. Something light. Not all you can eat. AYCEKBBQ. Yeah. All right. So so you guys, the people who are the regulars who have been listening to the Think Bigger podcast, I think a lot of this stuff is honestly not going to shock them because you guys are already in the zone of what this podcast is about. It's not a shock value podcast. It's not meant to talk about pop culture or polarizing subjects for the sake of how that's going to be polarizing and grabs attention. This is about being more mindful of life and perspective and accountability and responsibility to oneself, to one's community. And if you guys were listening to things T was saying, it's from before this, the shop, the way they communicate and are a part of the culture, it's not just about us, and I think as we all go through life, because of work and economy and bills, the rat race, whether that rat race of working prevents you from being in tune with yourself, philosophically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, medically, right? Or being in touch with the system of what we live in, like the healthcare system. You're paying for it out of your job, but you don't have the foggiest idea of what to do if something were to happen. And that comprises the majority of people. They really just don't know what to do. You guys, bless T with the in the comments. If all her information will be there, you want to contact her directly. But don't let this situation be a profound story that you watched and or listened to and said, wow, I really think it's amazing that T shared that. And then let that be the end of it. Don't do that, right? It's important. She's sharing a very, very serious time in her life, and let it be. If it's not going to be anything else, if you're not going to do it for yourself, just own that. Just be accountable right now and say, I was not going to have a PCP, and I don't even know if I have an HMO or a PPO. I don't know what to do, because I know that there are people right now who are like, yeah, I didn't even know what PCP stood for up until right now. You guys change that. Allow her to sleep tonight knowing that her sharing this extremely personal moment with all of us through this platform is going to be able to benefit your life in even the smallest of ways, because it will. And everyone who listens to this, I've talked to kids that don't have parents, talked young people out of suicide. I've talked to men who are getting a divorce to a woman that they've been in love with since high school and they just found out she's been cheating on them, and vice versa. There's all of these things that people are going through, and then you're sad, you're mad, you're bitter, you're angry, you're depressed, and then you realize that there's someone else who's going through something maybe way, way worse than you. And that's not to say that you don't have the right to be sad or mad about what's happening in your life. But when we remember to be aware that it's a village, it's a community, it's not just us, we're not alone. There are people who care, even in the midst of going through what you're going through. You're donating your time and blessing, the people who are going to hear your story in this piece of your life. This is just one chapter, right? If we talked about all the things that I would want to talk about, it would just be too long, right? Because there's so many things, and we have 1,000 mutual acquaintances and shops and businesses that we all work with in the car culture and everything like that. But this one's more about something that's far more profound than that. So as we kind of bring the episode to a close, only because of time, and apparently we're gonna go eat a lot. Oh, I'm gonna eat a lot. Byron's gonna eat a lot. You're not gonna eat a lot because they told her not to. But you guys, I mean, for everyone listening, I will give the honors, socials and stuff, and give it time, you guys. Whether you send one message or 20, because they'll read it when they can. And if you want to contribute in any type of way, just email me and or DM me on Instagram or theirs, and there'll be ways. The mini moto show, they had Groms and Ruckuses and all these mini bikes and stuff. It was amazing, and I could only come in the beginning, and I had some family here, and so I couldn't stay. But the people who can have been amazing to you, but that's because you've been amazing to them. It isn't just like randoms that are like, oh, this person needs support. It's because you put that out there. So if you're listening, you guys are watching, you have to be aware of how you present yourself to the world. Are you standoffish? Do you hate the world, even if the world's been cruel to you? Because then you can also then say, how come nobody wants to be around me? So she's here fighting this, and yet she's still welcoming. And I'll keep you guys updated, and we're gonna talk again. We're gonna do the second follow up after she recovers from her surgery, whenever you're ready. Because I was earlier today, I was like, so how many weeks are you gonna take off of work? She's like, I don't know, maybe 2. And I'm like, you're gonna have a double mastectomy. So to not use medical terminology, they're gonna remove both of your breasts. And you're like, yeah, let me get like 14 days, and then I'm gonna go back to work. And I was like, take a month off. I get it. We have to pay bills, but you need time for your mind, your heart, and your body to mend itself. And we're going to bombard you with messages and positivity, anyone, anywhere in the world, because a lot of the people who listen are, kind of far. Doesn't matter. Just message us, and I'll make sure that T sees it and reads it on Instagram. I'll do some follow-ups with her, and we both have really
a hair party.
Another hair party. As it grows back, I'll keep you guys updated as everything comes back in. And yeah, I mean, so T, seriously though, like, I really appreciate you. And I are very close, but it's different when it's going to be shared in multiple ways to people publicly, so to speak. So I really appreciate you allowing us to be a part of this journey, this chapter in your life. So thank you.
Oh yeah, no worries. My pleasure. Before we end, I just wanted to mention, for anyone who's going through anything, and you're thinking about reaching out to the doctor, or if you don't have a primary care physician that you deal with, there are clinics that you can go to. Something that I learned for all the women out there, if you're in California, or there's certain states that have free mammograms. So there are, resources that you can utilize where that is free, where you can kind of get some help as far as figuring out, if you're questioning certain things, you can get some answers that way. So utilize the resources that are available to you if you don't have the insurance, but that's something that is available.
That's really important. Yeah, that's good. Because some people, I think, if they think, well, I can't afford insurance right now, I'm doomed. You're not. You're not. That's a very good point. Look it up. Contact us. We'll, help you to find those resources. Um, but yeah, guys, that's a really good one. Yeah, I think that could easily just be forgotten. I think some people are just like, I don't have insurance, so I don't know what to do. There's ways, there's ways. So T, once again, thank you.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate you. And yes, everyone will follow up with her. So you can follow directly at Honors OC. Well, yeah, not your personal. We'll do Honors, yeah. And then on my Instagram, I will be giving you guys the updates that I'm able to, as often in real time as possible on Instagram. So for everyone listening anywhere in the world, thank you. And T, thank you very much.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Okay, guys, we'll see you on the next episode, and we appreciate you being here. Okay, all right, guys, thank you.
Thank you.